Hello, everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Twitter was bugging out on us, so we had to create a new space, but all will be good. We'll let everybody file in here and we'll get started. Big day, big day.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for bearing with us. We have a new Spaces link. Now I know why Farouk calls it Rug Radio. All right. There's the link for the new tweet up at the top. A lot of people aren't going to get the RSVP, so if you can check the pinned tweet at the top of the Spaces, go ahead and retweet, share that. We'll get everybody filed in here. It's a big day. All right. Now, we've got some very exciting news, some golf news coming. I wanted to remind you that last week we became the official closed deal sealed owners of Spey Bay Golf Course in Falkchambers, Scotland. I still need to work on my pronunciation on that one. Bez, Adam, you want to take a crack at that pronunciation? Correct me there.
Falkbers?
Falkbers. Okay. Falkbers, Scotland. It's equidistant between Aberdeen and Inverness on the north coast of Scotland. You've seen the videos, the photos. There's one pinned at the top of the Spaces right now. It is a gorgeous property and by all accounts an incredibly good time to play. And that's as is, right? It's a really, really cool spot, and I am so incredibly proud of this community. We, all of us, the Links members, the minters, even the speculators and the flippers played a part in this, making this dream come true, right? Um, every community member played an incredible role in getting us here over the past 18 months, the past year and a half. Um, Incredible work of the DAO contributors, community team, everybody in Discord, everybody who debated and voted in Proposal 17. It was our largest turnout ever, one of the best examples of community participation in the history of Web3 and DAOs. From the very beginning, we've been making some ripples in the golf space. It's just been so great, the reception we've gotten from our partners. And I want to say just a huge shout out. And we'll hear from some of these folks here in a minute, but Bez, Chris Bruce, Jim, the team who've done the tireless work, sourcing, scouting, evaluating courses. Chris flying over at the 11th hour to place the bid. Just a really, really cool experience so far. So, we officially own the course. If you missed it, that's the big news. At the top of the link, at the top of the Spaces, you can see the link to secure your founding membership at Spey Bay. So this would be to initiate. Right now we have deposits open, but I'll kick it over to Jim to talk a little bit more about that process there. And then we will have a pretty exciting announcement about the architect coming up here in a moment.
Thanks a lot, Coop. Just for everybody on the Spaces, a little bit more on the area. And the Moray coast of Scotland is becoming one of the hottest new golf destinations for golf travel. The amount of just really high quality world-class championship golf, and also just historic old Tom Morris trail golf up there, and funky, cool little courses that you've never seen the likes of before. you walk 10 feet and you trip over one of these golf courses up there. It's really an exceptional place to go play and experience the birthplace of golf. And I've spent a bunch of time over the last 6 months or so going and seeing properties, meeting with general managers and captains, which are the equivalent to presidents of these various golf clubs out in Scotland, and just speaking with architects and a lot of the golf experts out there, and really getting a sense for what properties, what oceanside coastal links properties are really all about. And one of the exciting things about our golf course, about Spey, is that I have not seen a single site in Scotland or in any of the links golf course I've played anywhere in the world that has so much direct play against the beach, against the ocean. As it stands right now, Spey has 12 holes on the ocean. A lot of other courses kind of weave in and out. You might have one or two holes that are kind of right there on the ocean. But this is an entirely unique site in that you can experience the ocean on an almost entirely the whole golf course throughout your entire 18 holes. And the architect partner that we've chosen, that Bez is going to talk about right after I finish speaking, has an exceptional concept for how we're going to create something entirely unique and really, really special, on this kind of world-class golf course site. And one of the other great things that we've been working on in the background since we have started the Spey conversations was when we have our memberships. If you've gone and visited that membership page that Coop had mentioned, you see that you don't only get access to our golf course. Currently, right now, you get reciprocal play at 4 other golf clubs in the area, and we expect that number to go way up. So what we're trying to create here is not only the best experience a golfer can have on a classic links course, completely redesigned and rethought, but also reciprocal access to the best golf courses in the area. So when you go out there, you can really feel like you're part of the community, because you are part of the community. You're a member of this Scottish community. So with that, I want to mention that we spent a ton of time, and Bez in particular has been leading the charge. Has done such a great job speaking with all of kind of the who's who in the golf architecture world. We really kind of came down and spoke with, I'd say, a handful of the top 5 to top 10 golf course architects when we were going through the selection process. And Bez is going to talk now about who we decided to go with and what the future vision of this place is. But these guys are absolutely out of this world, and we're so lucky to be working with them. And we have at this point an absolute bang all-star team of kind of the best of the best within the golf world. They're going to be transforming Spey Bay into something the world has never seen before. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Bez.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Coop. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to leave any more suspense here. I'm incredibly excited to announce that we've partnered with the team of Clayton, DeVries, and Pont to renovate Spey Bay. So we've gotten to know that full team over the last, honestly, year. Oh, thanks, Dudis. Over the last year and a half, as we've been building relationships in and around the golf ecosystem, they've been some of the best partners just in terms of helping us sort of get up to speed quickly as we've been navigating the industry. And I couldn't think of a better partner to be working with on this project for a whole host of reasons that we can go into in a little bit. But for those of you that aren't familiar, it's Mike Clayton, Mike DeVries, and Frank Pont have been operating as sort of individual architects, and they came together to form a really unique and global firm. They've been building courses, renovating courses all over the world. You've got Cape Wickham in Tasmania. I've seen as high as 12th in the entire world. You've got Kingsley Club in Michigan, which is a top 100 U.S. course. Barnbougle Dunes, another top 100 world course in the world, and they're building a course in Tasmania now called 7 Mile, which looks incredible and will probably immediately jump into the top 100 in the world. So without the other thing that that Jim alluded to is we've been assembling a team around us beyond Frank and Mike and that team extends to Chris Haspel, who we brought on to lead agronomy on a consulting and advisory basis. Chris has worked with Tom Doak, Gil Hance, Bill Core. Bill actually introduced us to Chris back in February when we were doing diligence on Spey originally, and we've got to know Chris over the last few months and are excited to have him on board, helping level up the conditioning of the turf at Spey, helping us source equipment, source potential employees, and so he is an agronomist to the stars. He's worked with Mike Kaiser on multiple different sites as part of the Dream Golf Resorts business. So honestly, couldn't have picked a better person to be assisting us on that front. So at this point, would love to bring up Frank Pont from the CDP team to come up, talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing with the course, and we'll go from there.
Frank, if you're out there in the audience, go ahead and hit that request button. We'll bring you on up. I see CDP. If you're on that account, sent the invite there. We'll bring you on up stage and hear more about this exciting news for Spey Bay. Awesome announcement. This is truly epic. Here we go. Yes, we can.
Okay, well, fantastic. So
thank you so much for being here.
This is Frank Pont here. Sorry, we cleared the first hurdle. My kids were explaining to me what I was getting into. They knew what it was. I hadn't been on one on a Twitter feed, so that's good. Well, glad to be here, and don't believe everything they're saying about us. But we're just architects. We build good golf courses, and we're happy doing that. Basically, I'm Dutch, but a bit of an American accent because I grew up in the Philippines and I studied in the States. I went to the University of Chicago, got my MBA there. I kind of came into architecture late. I was an investment banker and a consultant before I did this, so I decided to do something useful in my life, and then I became a golf architect. And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. Which makes me the junior of our group. I mean, Mike and Mike both think they're closer to 40 years or 30, 35 years in the business. And we've known each other for a long time. We got together because we were actually friends. We really liked each other and liked each other's work. And what we thought is, well, we're getting a lot of requests to do stuff internationally. It would be a lot easier if we can, do that together. Because more people, more brains give us higher quality, and we've done that 4 years ago, and we're very happy where we are now, and we're very proud to have been chosen by your group to basically help you make Spey Bay a very, very special place, which is very, very possible. Just speaking a bit about Spey Bay. Funny, yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, that would be great. Would love to hear, a little bit of what we
Sure. Okay. So the first time I went to Spey Bay was about 20 years ago, which is actually nice because that means that was just in the age when the digital camera was coming out, and I had a very, one of the first Fujis that was able to make digital pictures. Which is why I have 200 pictures of the site in 2001, which is always useful to see how a site developed. And even then, it was already very special. I remember driving up there. It's a beautiful part of the world, the Whiskey Valley of Spey Valley, and just the fact that you're, as was said before, you're on the sea, really, really close on the sea, and it's quite a special site. What a lot of people don't realize is that if you're on a links course, often you won't see much of the sea because the first row of dunes will be so high that you don't see much of the sea. At Spey Bay, what's very interesting is that below the surface, there's not sand, but pebbles and shales. And that means that the dunes are less high, but the visibility and the possibility to look over these, call it smaller dunes towards the sea is amazing. As said, pretty much from anywhere on the site, you will see the sea. Well, unless you're in one of the valleys, then you have to jump up and down to see the sea. But it's amazing. It is amazing, that part. The other part, of course, is the good news about Pebbles as a subbase is that it drains. It drains like no tomorrow. That I don't think you'll ever see a puddle there. You'll really have to try hard to get that. So yeah, so the third thing is that effectively, because the subsoil is pebbles, it's kind of what you see is there's not a lot of very high grass, because obviously it's a difficult soil for longer plants, for trees, etc., to grow in, and that's why, other than gorse, that's the only plant that does proliferate. There's not that much vegetation on the site, which is great, because what we would like to do is we would like to really make it an open, not an open, but a wider playing field. At the moment, there are 18 holes, which play sort of with the valleys. And it's a good course. It's a typical out and back course. And as said, you see the sea from everywhere. But we think it could be even better. And we think it could be better in a number of ways. First of all, we think that what we'd like to do is actually introduce multiple ways of playing the 18 or maybe more. We're still working on that, greens on site. And that would mean that we're going to have at least 2 different golf courses on the same site, and maybe as much as 7. Who knows? That's early days, and that's possible. If it's just 2, it will be what we call a reversible. A reversible course is something that I started. I've done one in Europe called LinksDAO, which, if anybody's ever read Golf Magazine, it was voted in the top 29-hole courses in the world. And part of that was because you can play it's 9 holes, but you can play it in 2 directions. Obviously, Tom Doak also did a reversible in Michigan, and called the Loop, but that was 18 holes, and I think that is something that we could do here as well, creating more variety, creating more possibilities, and the fact that the dunes aren't massive but more subdued helps with that. So we feel that this is, that the site allows for incredible incredible variety, effectively. I mean, if we think that we're going to be able to lay out a number of golf courses out here with that when you play them will look and feel very, very different. That on top with the fact that, like any typical links course, the wind is going to be the major driving factor of making every day different. So you could stay here for like a couple of days, and because of these 2 factors, you might feel that you're playing a different golf course every day. And that, I think, is the strength of this site. It is a bit understated. So it's not like Ballybunion with mega high dunes, but it's closer to the old course, which doesn't have mega high dunes, but is, in many people's opinion, the best golf course in the world. And well, we don't think there's a lot of reason why we can't create something that would be as exciting.
Thanks, Frank. That's an awesome overview of obviously what we've been speaking about for the last couple months or so. I think maybe one other thing that would love to get your sort of thoughts on is maybe some of the the views on what we've talked about when it comes to shorter loops and smaller loops to allow for a variety of types of play, like we've discussed. Sort of the flexibility that this new routing will allow for.
Yeah, I think I believe that I believe that golf needs to create variety, needs to create all kinds of formats. Just playing 18 holes, I think is that I wouldn't say it's a dying breed, but it's not. Like, just to take an example, in continental Europe at the moment, people play more 9-hole rounds than they play 18-hole rounds. They probably even play more 6-hole rounds than they play 18-hole rounds. And I see that the same also with my kids. they're both teenagers. The course I'm a member at, the Pun, which is I'm lucky enough to be. It's a really nice Heathland course, also in the top 100. But it's got a loop of 6, loop of 3, loop of 9. And we play the loop of 6 or the loop of 3 a lot more than we play the loop of 9 or even all 18. And I think that's the future. I think people want to play different things. They want to get variety, and yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And the smaller loops. I mean, one of the things we've discussed, for instance, is there's a spot on the site where you see, I think from one spot you see like 5 or 6 greens. And we even discussed, well, after playing around, what you could do is bring a bunch of golf balls there, stand on that dune, and just play to all of the greens as if they were par threes. Just go clockwise, and whoever wins the first par three can decide on how you play the second par three or whatever. Just playfulness. Not hung up on rules. Not okay. Well, what's exactly in the golf rules of what you did wrong now? No, it's just have fun and enjoy it. And I think that's what we're trying to create here is, a bit of craziness, a bit of difference, stuff that they don't do maybe at a traditional country club, but which you will be doing here.
And I think what you're highlighting is exactly the reason why we are so excited to work with you guys, because this is a theme that you were hitting on even before, talking to us about Spey. And I think everyone who's listening, members and otherwise, recognize that this is an approach to the game that we've been excited about and have talked about for, since January 1st of 2022. And so it's great that we found such a like-minded partner here when it comes to what we can do at Spey and more broadly with golf. And so I think the last couple things I wanted to sort of highlight and announce for people, Jim and I and maybe a couple other people are going to be on site with Frank and his associate Sam in June, doing more work, evaluating the course. And then I think, Coop, if you wanted to share a little bit about what we're going to be doing around the member event, but I think you may have shared in Discord, but what we're going to be doing with Frank and Sam and both Mikes in July for the member event at Spey.
Yeah, particularly excited to be out there with you in July for the member event. The programming is July 15th, 16th, and 17th, and you can RSVP on that site. It's in the pin tweets at the top, but I'm really excited. I'm hearing from Adam that we're going to be able to walk the course with you guys and hear and experience kind of your vision firsthand. I really, as a community manager, really appreciate your openness to share that with us at this event. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the way you plan for these types of redesigns and how you could share more with us, whether you're on site or digitally. Frank, are you there?
I'm still here. Sorry, I wasn't clear. Yeah, I mean, basically, as I said, I think when you design as a golf architect, what you do is, I think you need different skills, and that's one of the reasons why why the partnership with Mike and Mike is, I think, working so well. I mean, I may be more of the digital side of things in our partnership. I'm an engineer from training, so I'm a civil engineer, and I'm very comfortable with 3D programs, CAD, and stuff like that. So visualizations. We have, Joe, one of our associates, a fantastic and very, very talented, one of the best 3D artist out there. You probably have seen his work on Twitter on some of the visualizations he's done on the classic GBI courses. But you need more. You need like Clates. I call Clates, Mike Clayton. We always call him Clates. Is in my view, professor of golf. I don't know anybody else who has such a photographic memory of any course he's been to. I need to take pictures to remember things. He doesn't, and he still remembers everything. It's amazing. So what he brings is he'll say like, oh, what we could do here is like, what's that Ranfurly in Australia, the third hole, the second shot, we could do something like that here. That's the sort of input, just like somebody who's seen every has seen every piece of art in Louvre, the Rijksmuseum, and then can just say, oh, well, we could do a bit of this, a bit of that. So that's Clates. De Vries is probably one of the most creative shaping artists in the world. I mean, anybody who's ever been to Kingsley, who's seen sort of the type of greens that he can create, it's just amazing. So I mean, that's then when you get to, okay, how do we, if we want to have a green here, what kind of green should we build? Now I can build good greens, but I'm not even close to what De Vries can do, and that's exciting because in the end it has to look good, it has to play fun, and that's the combination. So what we tend to do, the phase we're in now is we've been to the site a couple of times. As I said, I was there 20 years ago. To be honest, I didn't, I knew the fixtures when I went through it, but we visited the site 2 times now in the meantime. And what you then do is you actually walk the site. The first time you just walk the routing. Maybe you'll walk the routing forwards and backwards, just to get a sense of what are the good landforms, how are the holes looking, what are the viewing lines, what do I see when I play to a green. You can have a beautiful green, but there could be an ugly viewing line behind it. So that's important. Then what we started doing is we started looking at a digital map and say, okay, how is this site looking? And i.e., what you do is it's called a contour map. So that shows where the hills are, where the valleys are. And you can then even digitize that. And we can do that with simple programs like SketchUp. People maybe know it. Or you could do it with very, very complex programs like Cinema 4D, which is what Joe uses. And then you basically can start flying through it and looking at things and saying, oh, okay, well, what about this? What about that? It helps us a lot to do that because part of the site is still covered by gorse. And gorse is almost like you put a blanket over something. So you're hiding what's really underneath it. And with the contour map, you can see what's underneath it. And that's very useful because it will show us, oh, there's an interesting little hole here, like a sinkhole or a little valley, or there's like a ridge here. And that then starts saying, oh, well, wouldn't it be cool if the gorse was gone? And we would be strong proponents of losing a lot of the gorse that's on the site now. Then you're going to start discovering all these interesting landforms where you could put a green or where there could be a tease or whatever. And then what we did last time is once we'd done the digital analysis, you go back and you start walking around the site and you start looking again and saying, well, this looked like an interesting site for a green potential site, or maybe we move the green that's existing or we expand it. And then you start really on-site looking at it. And that's really, I think that's the part which is really essential. I mean, a good similar, like Mike and Mike are working on 7 Mile Beach, which is, you've probably seen it on Twitter. It's this amazing, links beachside in Tasmania near Hobart. And they obviously had topo maps, they'd done routings, they'd done everything. But there were still trees on the property when they started. And when the trees were felled, because there were trees that were not indigenous and they were killing a lot of the ecological values there. So it was actually a win-win also ecologically to take them out. But once the trees were out, all of a sudden it was like, wow, okay, well, maybe we could also do this, or we could do that, or we could do something more. And I think the best architects in the world are all on site. They only make decisions once they've been on site. And you need to take time. And that's what, I think it was Bill Core who said that, what's the most essential element in good golf design is time. Take the time to find, we could build the first routing that we came up with, and that's it. But if you spend a bit more time and look at it and discuss it and mull it over, then you're going to get better. You're going to find better options, and that's what we've been doing so far. We're still early days. I mean, as I said, we got a couple of routings that we've seen. We've got a couple of, we've looked at all the existing greens. We've looked at a couple of potential green sites, and all of that needs to be discussed, because then you get also into, what's the pros and cons? If you're going to build something new, it's going to cost some money. Is it worth it? Those are all trade-offs that we have to go through, and that's going to be a very fun and interesting discussion.
Awesome. Well, Frank, we really appreciate your time. We're super excited about the next year plus of working closely with you guys, and it's certainly going to be a longer relationship at that as we think about how this course evolves well beyond the first iteration here. And so excited to spend time with you guys on site in June, with the full CDP team in July. And it was great to have you join us today and share this exciting announcement.
Well, my pleasure. And, let's make this one of the best places you can go to, huh?
That's the plan. We're super excited to get started. And Coop, I'll kick it back to you for any final wrap ups here.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Frank, and really excited to be partnering with you and the team. Thank you, everybody, for attending the spaces. Again, we've got the tweet with CDP announcement at the top. If you swipe to the right, we've got info on how to reserve your spot as a member of Spey Bay. More information coming, and we're really excited to announce the existing version of Spey is about to be playable in PGA 2K23. So if you want to get a feel for what it is now, and we'll hopefully have some ideas coming to you very soon for the future of Spey Bay. But it's a really exciting time for Links, for golf, for CDP, and thank you all so much for being a part of it. All right. Any other questions or anything else can be addressed in the Discord, and we will see you all next week with more info and updates on the Spey Bay developments. Have a great one.